Sir, this is what we call the quick fire segment. We'll throw
Oh,
you
this
some
is the one
issues, and please
dislike
tell us if
because
you
I'm
agree, disagree, and
Okay.
why or why not. Sir, for
Thank
example, abortion.
No, yeah, I'm not prepared to sign a law and support an abortion law.
Is that an absolute no, or are there qualifications?
Well, maybe
for example, rape,
medical.
victims of rape or incest,
Yeah,
or
no
medical?
rape.
Incest.
How would you qualify, sir?
I have to admit, incest. Yeah, well, probably if the woman would decide, no. I think that would be something as a general rule, but I think as a general rule, it's difficult for me to support. For me, the government must always ensure that reproductive health services are provided to avoid conditions like this, etc. But if push comes to shove and yeah, it's a rape and incest, I may consider that. Actually, that's a good point. Yeah.
Same-sex marriage.
Oh, I support same-sex marriage.
Divorce.
I
Of
always
course.
support the
Yeah.
divorce bills of
Yeah.
Gabriela.
Do extractive industries have a role to play in national development?
Yes, we have a people's mining bill, and our people's mining bill allow we're not absolutists there. Yeah. First, of course, the stringent regulations, environmental consent of indigenous people and community, and third, the main thrust of the people's mining bill is that minerals should be used
Okay.
in the Philippines, almost 80%. I think.
What about forestry?
What?
Forestry, logging.
Logging.
I disagree with that now, especially within the context now. Yeah.
Should we split the DNR into two departments?
Department of.
I mean, one for regulating, protecting the environment, one for exploiting the environment.
I haven't thought about that, Robbie. But I always.
For example, should the MGB be
Separate from
separate
the
from
DNR.
the DNR?
It can be considered. I haven't studied that, but I've always answered my colleagues in Congress every time they propose to solve a problem with a structural issue. I always said our problem is the structural trap, the penalty trap, and the law trap. I mean to say, penalty trap is every time they talk, they want to increase penalty. If there's a problem, they want to propose a new reorganization. So I said, I'm not too keen, but I could agree depending on the conditions. But as a general rule, I'm very, very wary of all these simple solutions they provide, like increase the penalty, let's have a Department of Water, or let's have a law for that particular event. I'd rather have solutions outside legislation, but I'm still open for these things too.
Charter change.
No, of course. For
Absolutely
me,
no change.
I'm not absolutist
any-
there. I would want a constitutional reform too. There are certain provisions that must be changed, but constitutional reform for the better. And this cha-cha is for the worst. It takes out political dynasty prohibition, etc. You know my position there, so I'm no to charter change. Anyway, ang problema naman natin ang problema ng kahirapan hindi nagmumula sa konstitusyon. Ang problema ng kahirapan nagmumula sa korupsyon, may political dynasty, walang lupa ang magsasaka, etc. So,
Yung lowering the age of criminal liability.
no. We voted no on
Absolutely.
that.
Yep.
Yeah, absolute
Okay.
yan. Absolute. Sa sabi ko nga palagi, kaya nyo ipipinalize yung bata kasi ginagamit ng mga sindikato. Di habulin nyo ang sindikato. Nabiktima na nga ang bata ng sindikato. Ito twice victimize mo pa siya. Pipinalize mo. Di habulin mo yung sindikato.
Is the party list system broken?
It is much abused and it should be strengthened rather than eliminated. The party list system has contributed a lot of good laws and good discourse in Congress. It has just to be cleansed with fake party list by powerful political clans.
Sir, how do you define fake party lists?
Well, for me, the
Anong
party
criteria?
list must be marginalized and underrepresented. We have a bill in Congress that any congressman of the party list, or congresswoman for that matter, whose income is substantially higher than the annual salary of a district congressman, they should be disqualified. We're very purist on that.
Based on income valuing, yung
That's one.
major criteria.
That's one. Of course, the second is the organization must also be marginalized. I was the one that my first oral argument in the Supreme Court was on the one that disqualified major political parties, and I never forgot that. So I've always maintained that the decision in our case before that the party list is only for the marginalized and underrepresented should be preserved.
Yeah, but some people will say Bayan Muna is a major political party.
Well, if we become a major political party in the sense that we fulfill the requirements of the major political parties of COMELEC, then so be it. For me, there is no dilly-dally there. Meaning to say, COMELEC has this formula. How many congressmen do you have? You have governors, you have senators. If you fulfill that, then bayan muna should be out of the party list system.
Sir, balikan ko lang yun, we're talking kanina about the oil industry, specifically privatizing,
Nationalizing.
taking over Petron
Yeah,
all over
yeah,
again.
yeah.
What about the OPSF? Do you want to revive that too?
That's something that has been mentioned among us, a subsidy on oil
Or a
for
buffer
the
fund.
meantime that there is no renationalization. We're open to that. I'm always wary of subsidy if only because there may be other solutions. But I'm open to that. The OPSF, the revival of the OPSF.
Okay, sir, we have a few more seconds to go. We'd like to leave the time to you to give your message.
Yes, well, siguro sa mga kababayan natin, tumatakbo po akong senador at marami namang kandidato ang pupunta sa ating mga probinsya sa darating na halalan. All of them will be promising, saying that I'm pro-poor, I'm pro-farmers, I'm pro, every pro-environment. And it's very easy to make promises and draft platforms, but I guess people have to look beyond the platforms and the promises and whether or not this candidate, is he or she just saying this because there's election, but before never even be a part of reform in the Philippines. For me, I'd like to say that I've always battled for these issues, with or without election, increase in wages, increase in pension, genuine agrarian reform, with or without election. So I really hope that people this time would support candidates like me who walk the talk rather than candidates who win because they have a lot of ads or they're movie stars. So yeah, I hope sa darating po na halalan, huwag kalimutan si Neri Colmenares, number 22 sa balota, naging kakampi mo sa laban doon sa Kongreso o maging kakampi mo sa laban doon sa Senado.